The MCC 26 teams have recently been announced, and I'm going to be ranking them from best to worst, starting off with the Red Rabbits. So on this team, we have Tommy Innit, Captain Sparkles, Finster, and Jack Manifold. I think this is a pretty strong team. I'm going to put them in 6th place. I can totally see them doing higher. Tommy, we've seen be a great leader in the past. Captain's also a very good support player, being able to do well in PvP and movements. And Finster, we've seen pop off in parkour tag. And Jack Manifold is able to adapt with how the team's doing. So if the team's doing well, I believe he could also do well. So putting this team in 6, just because of the other teams, I feel like are more competitive. But I could definitely see this team up in the runnings. Next up, we have the Orange Oozes with Tapel, Babohilo, Skeppy, and Spifey. Now this team, I feel like, is the biggest wildcard team. It can range anywhere from 1st to last place. Pretty much because no one on this team has been consistent. Tapel can either pop off or do pretty poorly. Skeppy's only been in 2 events. The first one, he was pretty bad. The second, he actually did pretty well. Same goes for Babohilo, and Spifey has been only about 2 or 3 events in MCC Season 2. So I don't think they really have the skills to do well, although I could see them popping off in some games. I'm going to put them in 7th place. Next up, we have the Mustard Mummies with Sapnap, 5UP, Michael McChill, and Gene Ellie. I'm going to put this team in 2nd place. I feel like it's a pretty strong team. I mean, you got Sapnap, the king of PvP, followed by 5UP, who's very good at team games. I feel like with this duo, they don't really have any weak games. Even though they have 2 weaker players on the team, I feel like Sapnap and 5UP will be able to carry this team into Dodgeball. Next up, we have the Lime Leeches with Cubfan, In the Littlewood, Pizza Hut, and Solidarity. I'm going to put this team in 9th place. No one on this team is really that consistent, apart from In the Littlewood. And Cubfan, Pete, and Solidarity all have the potential to be good, but recently they haven't been getting their usual placements, especially Solidarity. He got 40th 2 times recently, last event and a few events before that, and I just don't see this team doing too well. I'm going to put them in 9th place. Next up, we have the Green Goblins with Grian, CPK, Smallish Beans, and Wilbur Suit. I don't see this team doing too well, although they definitely have the skill level to do so. Grian, CPK, they're both pretty good players. Smallish Beans too, he's been going crazy lately. Wilbur Suit, he's like an average player, but really there's no leader to guide this team. I feel like they'll do good team games, but that's about it, really. And I just don't see them doing too well, getting 10th place. Next up, we have the Science Centipedes with Carl Corvus, Krinios, Hertzy, and Ragai Rocky. Or should I say, Cry Guy Rocky, because then he'll have all team will have K's. This team is a pretty good team, I think. I think they're going to get 4th place. Hertzy and Krinios are pretty good players, being able to pop off in PvP games and movements. Car and Ragai are about average. Ragai probably a bit above average, to be honest. I feel like they'll do good at team games. Hertzy could lead them in PvP games. I don't see them doing top, getting around 3rd, 4th for most games, so I feel like they'll get 4th overall. Next up, we have the Aqua Abominations with AMZ, H-Bomb, Smager, and Sylvie. This team may not look scary on the outside, but it's actually a pretty strong team, and I'm going to put them in 1st place. H-Bomb is a very good leader who'll be able to guide his team in team games and support them in PvP games. Sylvie's been popping off recently. I expect her to continue this event. And Smager is also able to do well with team games, as well as AMZ being able to support the team. I see his team being able to get 1st place. Next up is the Blue Banshees with Foolish Gamers, Puns, Tubbo, and Vigumi. This is actually a very strong team, and I totally see them dominating all the PvP games, with Puns kind of being a god of PvP games, as well as Foolish and Tubbo being pretty good too. Vigumi's not a bad herself. I also see this team dominating in movement games, with the only exception being maybe team games they might not do as well, which is why I'm going to put them in 3rd place. Next up, we have the Violet Vampires with Fruitberries, Philza, Shovel, and the Orion Sound. I feel like this is also a pretty scary team. Fruitberries and Philza is going to be a pretty strong duo to look out for. Fruitberries pops off in movement games, PvP games. He's even pretty good at leading teams in team games. Phil is also a very good support player to have in PvP, as well as movements. He gets some good placements. The only reason I see this team coming 5th is because Shovel and the Orion Sound aren't so good as Fruit and Phil. I don't see them doing too good in movement games, kind of not letting them get the team bonuses, or dying early, maybe hole in the wall. which will kind of throw the team off a bit. And the final team is the Fuchsia Frankensteins with Blushy, Purpled, Rambo, and Slimecicle. This is like a pretty decent team. Purple is a very scary player, one of the recent S tiers. Rambo also something to look out for. He hasn't been doing too well lately, but definitely don't underestimate him. Then why I'm putting this team in 8th place is because of Blushy and Slimecicle. Blushy gets around like 30, maybe 25th usually, which isn't amazing. Slimecicle played one event where he did pretty decent in, but it's just one event, and I don't think he's like amazing at Minecraft. I don't see him doing too well this event. So I'm going to put this team in 8th place. I hope they prove me wrong and get higher. That's my predictions. Let me know what you thought of them, and let me know in the comments what your own predictions are. Please consider subscribing. I'm really trying to get to 500 subs by the end of the year. If you actually subbed, I'd really appreciate it. Anyways, that's it for me. Peace out.